So I guess this placement is a 12-month placement. So we are recruiting at the moment for September start date. So it is the start of the school year in September, and we do have teaching placements throughout South Korea in both large cities and small towns across the country. So it is a nationwide program. So I guess from karaoke and K-pop to visiting the Apson Park, there is loads to do on your days off. So South Korea, I suppose, is known as having the fastest internet connection in the world. Now that we're all on Zoom calls, on Skype, on WhatsApp calls, FaceTimes to everyone, I suppose you'll feel so much even more connected, I guess, with being over in South Korea, with 92% of its population being internet users, which is unbelievable. So I suppose we do have an option to teach in both private schools and public schools as well over there. So there's loads of opportunities, and we do have a dedicated team over there that will help you find the right choice for you. So obviously we are your main point of contact over here, and we will be with you throughout this whole journey. So on the lead up to before you travel, to when you're deciding to go, your pre-departure call, when you arrive over in South Korea, we will be in touch with you. We will always be there for you, and we will never lose sight of that. If you wanted, if we could follow you on social media, so on and so forth, and to be so jealous of your amazing opportunities, we would really, really love that. But I guess it's also really, really, really good that we do have a dedicated team on site in South Korea that can help you with those little things when they come up, and they're there for you. But we'll always be there as well on this journey. So I suppose there is different options if you're a morning person or an evening person, if you would prefer a small classroom or large classrooms, or rural or urban. There's loads of different opportunities. So I suppose just to talk about what is actually included in the internship program, everyone probably wants to know, first of all, what is the salary? So depending on your experience, whether you do have teaching experience or whether you don't, or what your qualifications are, the salary does range between 2 million to 2.3 million South Korean won. So I hope I'm saying that right. So it just depends on your qualifications and your experience. So that works out at around 1,500 to 1,800 euro a month. So it is a high competitive salary, and it would be one of our highest salaries that we do have for any internship programs that we do have. What's also included in this package is a 120-hour premier Tefl course. So you need to have this qualification in order to join the placement. So this is the primary qualification that you need in order to become a Tefl teacher, and it's a requirement. So that's included in the package, as well as a 30-hour teaching young learners course. Now, I guess many of you, I can see some familiar faces, I can read some familiar names. If you're already Tefl qualified with us, don't worry, we do always give a special discount for those who already have a course, so they will not need to actually do this course prior to heading over. If you already have your certificate, that is amazing. You will get a flight reimbursement, which is fantastic, and it's always something that it's great to have, and that would come within your first month's paycheck. So I suppose once you get over there, you're after working for a month, it'd be nice to get your first month paycheck, and then also flight reimbursement. When this program actually really reminds me of when I was teaching in Abu Dhabi. It kind of is like nearly the exact same what's included in the package, and also like a lot of the lifestyles and things like that is a good bit is the same. So I suppose that's the same thing that happened to us once we had to pay for our flights going over there, and in our first month's paycheck we actually got the reimbursement. So we put that towards doing something nice for the weekend, traveling somewhere within the country, and you know, a nice treat, because I suppose we'd already spent that money on the flight months and months before that. So it was great. You do have your accommodation for 12 months, which is amazing. So it is a studio apartment that you will get, and I suppose a lot of people might ask if you're traveling with a friend, if you're traveling as a couple. Very similar again to the UAE, not bringing it back to that, but unless you are married, then you would not be able to share the apartment. So you would each get your own apartment, which is also fine. I know, I suppose we're not supposed to say it too much, but same thing that happened when I was over in Abu Dhabi. Some of my friends were in relationships over there, and they may kind of have one apartment and then they spend a few days in one apartment and a few days in the other apartment as well. So look, it's always nice to have your own space, your own apartment. Not a lot of our programs actually offer this opportunity to have your own accommodation and your own studio apartment yourself. So it's a lovely thing to have. And I suppose the fact that you're going to be there for 12 months, it's a really, really nice opportunity to kind of make it your own, put your own stamp on it, and make it feel really at home, I guess. So you will also be, what else is included is medical insurance. So the schools will actually pay for 50% of your medical insurance, and 50% of that will also just come out of your salary each month. Which is also another good thing that did remind me of the UAE, is the end of contract bonus. So it is equivalent to 1 month's wages. So I suppose this is something that I received when I was in Abu Dhabi. And so at the end of my contract, after doing the 12 months, you will actually get paid your last month's salary plus another bonus, which is brilliant. It's fabulous. And I suppose what I did is I was going traveling in America for a few weeks that summer. I know it was so random that I came home. I came from Abu Dhabi back to Ireland and then went to America for a couple of weeks, but it was fabulous. And I suppose that's where I put that completion bonus towards it. Some of my friends have used it then when they came home to save for a mortgage, or else even maybe a car or something like that, if you maybe have been off the road since you were living abroad. So it's a great thing to have. It's a great addition. You will get a certificate of completion. So this is a great addition to have for future employment. So I guess it's something that, like, I can obviously always go back to the school that I was teaching in before, previous years. I'm sure, Kate, you can do the same, to look for references and to track down reference letters and things like that. But having a certificate of completion from the school is actually such a good thing to have for the future. So like, you have endless opportunities that you will always have this to say that you completely immerse yourself in a whole new country, a completely new culture, and you have done this 12-month placement. So it's a really, really, really good thing to have. And I suppose it's always something that you'll have in your CV with you forever, like your Tefl qualification. You will get 1 week's orientation upon arrival, and continuous professional development is a huge thing with our partners in South Korea, which is amazing as well, for, I suppose, for your CV, for future employment, that you will have 2 CPD weekends orientations throughout the year. So that's lovely as well. It's something that you get to meet up with all the other staff and make friends and build relationships then. So that's lovely. You will get airport pickup, ongoing in-country support. So I guess that's what we said there. You'll have us here in Ireland left there following your Instagram accounts and being so jealous. And then you will have obviously our partners over there, that they will be in-country support as well. And the favorite part of all is the chance of a renewal contract. So without any fee or anything like that, you do have a chance to obviously renew the contract. Bear in mind now that you, please God, get on very well over there and that you're quite successful, which I'm sure you all will be, then you can be offered a chance to renew in South Korea itself. Maybe if you did want to move to a different part, it is a nationwide program. So you may want to go to an urban area, you may want to go to a more rural area, one of the bigger cities. So you'd have a chance to do that. But also our partners have contracts with different schools worldwide as well. So it is a very exciting opportunity that you may get the travel bug and be gone for a couple of years. So it's great. I hope I'm not going too fast for all of you now or anything like that. So if you do have any questions in the meantime, just you can start typing them in. So I guess what you need to organise before travelling. So legalisation of your bachelor's degree. So that is a requirement that you do need to have, is a bachelor's degree first of all, and then you do need to actually get that legalised. This is mandatory across a lot of countries. It used to be for Vietnam and China, but now I guess a lot of other countries are following suit. I had to do it for teaching in the Middle East. My cousin has had to do it as well for teaching in another country as well. So it is coming in as a requirement. You do have to be 21 years or older. So if you are younger than 21 years, we do have different options of internships throughout the year. But for this one, it has to be 21 years or older. Sorry. Visa assistance is given. So obviously our in-country support team in South Korea are going to help you out with the visa assistance. It does take about 4 months, I suppose. Pre-COVID times, this would be a bit easier to kind of get through this whole process. But now when it comes to moving to a different country, trying to get your contracts up, your visa, everything like that, it's going to take a lot longer. So that's why we are saying to give yourself 4 to 5 months. So we are opening the applications from next week, but we are closing them as well quite soon. So they are actually only going to be over there for about for September for about 3 weeks. So I know it is quite a big decision to make and a big opportunity. So I suppose it's something that you will need to think about, but we do need the applications in by the end of April. But I'm sure Kate is going to touch on that as well. So travel insurance, I guess no one will be budging or leaving the country anymore without travel insurance. And flights, obviously you will have to organise them, but there is a reimbursement, as I said, in your first month's paycheck. A budget, so I suppose something that we always say to people is when you're saving up to maybe go abroad, the one good thing about the fact that there's a 4 month say waiting time before you can head over in September is that you do have that chance to save up. Because you're not going to be getting paid until 1 month, the first month in, it can be a bit tricky. So I suppose when I arrived over in the Middle East, it was literally like you're getting to meet new friends, you're joining, like I joined the GA team, things like that. So you're socializing quite a bit. And obviously you want to explore the country, you want to see what things are like. So like we do say, like, anticipate that before you go over and don't be stuck. And there's nothing worse than you wanting to say, oh, I can't head out tonight because I'm waiting on the last week's paycheck. Now, if you don't want to head out and you want that as an excuse, that's fair enough. But you know, if you don't really want to be missing out on these opportunities when you get over there just because you're scrimping and waiting for your first month's paycheck to come through. So that is a very important factor to consider. A police check is what they require, but we call it a Garda clearance certificate here. So I suppose just by going into your local Garda station, explaining to them that you are planning on moving to South Korea and you need it for visa purposes, and they'll give you a form there, you'll sign it and they'll stamp it and send it off to the superintendent in your local area, or else you may actually have to send it off yourself, depending on your local station. Vaccines, you should consult your doctor on it. It's not the COVID vaccine now, it's just vaccines in general. And I suppose should there be regulations in place in another country, expenses that you may have to consider would be a COVID fit to fly certificate for a test within a certain frame before departure. This is nearly mandatory, guys, across everywhere now. I suppose that you do need to have a negative test within a certain amount of time frame. It's not even to do with the countries that you're traveling to at this stage, it's actually to do with the airlines itself. So they will require that before you go over there. And I suppose you know, you can always get the other tests like PCR tests and stuff like that, but it might be a cost of €8 that you'll have to consider. And quarantine for public schools. So I suppose this is something that we will talk about more as we go on. But I suppose if you are going to a public school, you will have to, because it's a government run school, you would have to go with a government state quarantine, so one that they have required for you. But I suppose if you have chosen to go with a private school, then the quarantine can actually be done and you're already paid for accommodation. So I think this is brilliant, because I guess, like, once you arrive into the country first, for a lot of people who are moving into a new country, they are they're supposed to be doing a quarantine in a hotel first for 2 weeks, and then they move into their new apartments. So I suppose if you were actually doing the quarantine in your actual apartment that you're staying in, then that means that it'll give you time to do up your apartment, get your deliveries, things like that, and that you can really feel at home prior to you starting the orientation in school and everything like that. So I think that's a really good thing, that if you are going to be working with one of the private schools, but this is something that we'll touch on later, and it's something that you can definitely put into your preference as well once you're going through the interview. So I suppose some other facts that you'll need to know when it comes to the visa requirements is that your passport needs to be in date up until October 2022. So I suppose this is something that I'd say a lot of us maybe need to go look for passports or try to find their passport. I'd say they're covered in dust now at the moment, but I was only saying to Kate earlier, I had actually applied for my passport last year. I was due to go to Sweden the first week of March, and then a conference in Barcelona the following week, and I was waiting for my passport, and it hadn't arrived, and I was freaking out, and it eventually arrived, and sure, I didn't get to go to Sweden or to Barcelona for the conference. It was all cancelled due to COVID. So I have that brand spanking new passport with 10 years in date, but I haven't been able to use it yet. So I suppose just maybe if everyone does have a look for their passport after this, and just to make sure that it is in date up to October 2022. If not, we have spoke to our partners and we can supply you with an employer's letter for an emergency passport. So this is something that the passport office are actually accepting for emergency passports. So I suppose it is a teacher risk, so I suppose, and the money isn't refundable. So I suppose if your passport isn't in date and we do supply you with the letter, you are waiting for your emergency passport and it doesn't come, then unfortunately it is a risk that you're going to be taking, but we can look at deferring your position if your passport is not got in time. As I said already, South Koreans are traditional and everyone will get their own apartment. So if you are an unmarried couple, you will have to apply singly and you would get the 2 apartments. Obviously, there's no rules against calling over to each apartment and so on and so forth. And criminal checks, so they must be from when you were 18 years old. So if you did not live abroad, if you did live abroad before, and you should let the immigration office know this, so you'd need to submit that criminal record too. So I think it's if you've lived abroad for more than 6 months or something like that, that you may have to get a criminal record check from the other countries. Now I suppose this is something, not necessarily, I wouldn't say a white lie, but if you are applying on your CV and things like that, sometimes if you are saying that you taught abroad and things like that, you might say, oh, I was teaching in Spain for 6 months, then I was teaching in Italy for 12 months. This is if you had now in truth. But I suppose then that might have caused some alarm bells ringing then for some of the schools to say, okay, well, if they've taught in all these different countries, then they may need to get criminal record checks from each of them. So I suppose we can talk a bit more about that personally if you need that information as well. So yeah, I guess just a little bit more information. A lot of this is on our website anyway, guys, but just a little bit more information on it. You do get around 8 to 10 holidays included per year, in addition to all weekends and public holidays as well. So it's nice that you do have another, say, 2 weeks, like 10 days holidays will be 2 weeks again. And because it's such a high earning salary, and you obviously are not paying for your accommodation, the teachers can usually save up to about 30% of their salary on average. And I suppose that's a great thing to do while you're over there, but also they do offer support through the lifetime of your teaching career. So you, as I said, you can continue this process after this year. You can move on to a different program with our partners and you can keep earning. So it's great. And obviously the competitive package is one of our highest earning internships: free flight, free accommodation, high pay. I suppose you'll be working with an experienced team and personalized support, both here in Ireland and both in South Korea. There will be a teacher Facebook page set up prior to traveling, so you'll get to meet other teachers. And I suppose with the private schools, They would usually have the smaller classes between 8 to 15 students per class, and you would get your own, the curriculum is already there, so you would have to work from this curriculum. So there'll be little planning and there'll be a lot of shared lessons and things like that. Whereas with public schools, the classes are quite large, well, average I suppose here in Ireland, but in comparison to the private schools, the class sizes are 20 to 30 students. But you would have a South Korean co-teacher with you as well, which is great. So as I said, you can put down your preferences on whether you'd like to work for the public schools or the private schools. I spoke to our partners on this, and usually around 80% of our teachers would choose to go with the private schools as opposed to public schools. It was the exact same when we were teaching in the Middle East. There was an option between public and private schools. I personally taught with private schools when I taught over there, but some of my friends taught with public schools. So I suppose it is kind of up to yourselves, and this is something that you can discuss with our partners during the interview process and things like that, and the application process. So the schools are located nationwide, so from big cities to small towns. South Korean headquarters is in Seoul. So I suppose preferences can be given during the application process, but again, they're not promised. So I suppose it does just depend on the availability when you apply. I know I said that applications are closing the end of April, but I suppose the sooner the applications are in, the faster we can get you passed on and in contact with our partners, and that they can start the process with you. And if you do have a preference, then it's easier then. And I suppose there is an option between public and private schools, like I said. Just bear in mind, again, with the private schools, you can isolate in your own apartment for the 2 weeks. So you wouldn't have to pay for the government run quarantine, which for a 2 week stint can be around €1,500 upwards. It's kind of the same across all countries at the moment. And you will be entitled to an apartment each, and it will be a semi-furnished apartment, and you would just have to pay for some of the utility bills like gas and electricity and things like that, but that will be taken out of your wages as well. So I don't necessarily think it's something that you will have to be worrying about by contacting people and paying for it. That'll be just done through your schools. So that's enough for me. I think I've spoke quite a lot, so I'm going to pass you on to Kate, who'll be recruiting the positions, and she can give you a bit more information on how and where to sign up. So thanks, guys.
Thanks a million, Katie. Guys, so hi, my name is Kate. I'm sure I know a lot of you anyway already, and I can see a lot of familiar faces, so that's great. I've just been kind of answering your questions there in the chat box, so I hope a lot of you have asked everything you need, but we have time at the end for Q&A, so do keep putting them in there, and we'll get to them, no problem. Okay, so I suppose we're going to go down now a bit to the nitty-gritty, I suppose, and I suppose I won't be offended if you sign off from the session now. We're just going to go into, I suppose, if you are really interested in signing up and applying for this specific program, then definitely stay tuned, and I can go through the application process. Okay, so I know Katie kind of touched on this a small bit, but I do kind of want to make it clear. If you want to apply for this position, I want to kind of really run through what's required and if you fit this criteria. So you have to have a bachelor's degree. There's no way out of it. There was a message in the chat box there about saying they have a bachelor's and a master's. Can they give their master's instead? So that's perfect. You have to have Tefl training or Tefl certificate covered. It can be from any Tefl provider as long as it is accredited and a legitimate Tefl provider. If you've done your Tefl training with us, you will be entitled to more money after tuition fees because you've done the training with us. We do need a clean criminal background check, and I know Katie went into that. If you've been living abroad for 6 months and things like that, they'll need to check in on that. You do need a passport from a native speaking country, so Ireland, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Now, if we were speaking with our partners, and they do make exceptions for people, for example, who have a very, very high fluency level. And I'm only mentioning this as there was a question in the chat box. For example, if you've been living in Ireland all your life, but you know you've a German passport, then I would recommend applying if you have a very good fluency level. Okay, the next thing, you have to be in really good health, mentally and physically. Well, I mean, physically, I suppose no serious health conditions. You on your, like, a doctor's certificate, you'd have to have no serious health conditions. And I suppose when we talk about mental, kind of in a really good place, is you are in a new culture, a new school. You know, it's not easy, and we do want people to have a really good headspace when applying and moving to South Korea. You have to be available for 1 year minimum, okay? And that's a big thing about this program. A lot of our internships, I suppose, would be a small bit shorter. You know, they'd be like 4 or 5 months, 6 months. But this internship, you know, it is a commitment of 12 months, and we need people who want to go and are happy to stay the year. Our partners have endless opportunities. We've had people who've joined our partners here, and have stayed for 3 or 4 years with them, you know, hopping from country to country. And they're a fantastic group of people, and can really kind of get you far in the Tefl industry in Asia. It's a brilliant way to start with them. Yeah, to be a very enthusiastic and open-minded person. And to be quite flexible as well, because you have to remember, you're going to a new country, a new culture, so you can't expect everything to be the way it is here. You do need to have a very open mind when applying to this. Okay, so how do I enroll? So the next steps is, next week we will actually open our spots for the position. At the moment, we only have 10 positions available. Normally we have a lot more with jobs and internships, but as people know here, like, our Thailand spots were well reduced. Same with Taiwan, France, Italy. Normally we'd have so many more positions, but because of the way things have been going this year, you know, there's a little less room for positions. So we have 10 spots at the moment. And the positions, if you go onto our website and onto our South Korea page, you'll be able to just put your email in to the register list, basically. So if you pre-register, I'll know you're interested, and I will give you a call just to kind of run through the criteria again. It's just kind of a pre-screening thing that we do, just to make sure that you fit all the criteria, and then you can go ahead and apply, and it opens next Wednesday. So the enrollment fee for this, all this internship, so including the accommodation and the training and all for the whole year and everything like that, the full price is 1,090. And as well as that, if you've attended this webinar and you've put your name on the list, there is an early bird, like we did with our Thailand program, and it's just giving people who are interested priority. So that will bring it down to 990 for the people here today and pre-registering their names. Yeah, so as we said, the applications will open next Wednesday. I actually don't even know what day next Wednesday is on the calendar. What's next Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is today. So it is the 7th. So Wednesday the 7th, our applications will officially open. But please put your name on the waiting list today. It's just an email. If you are interested and you want to sign up to this program, just so we can know and get you pre-screened and everything like that before Wednesday, and all that kind of business is done. Those applications will stay open for 3 weeks, but it does work on a first come first serve basis. So for example, if those 10 spots fill in 24 hours, then we just close the program, and that's it until the next round. So that is the application process. Do we have any kind of questions here before I kind of go into the end of it, that anybody else wants to throw into the chat box? I will be all sending you an email tomorrow as well, to the link to the pre-registration. But just so you know, it is on our our website. If you just go into South Korea, I'm actually just going to paste the link in here for you guys as well, and you can enter your email address. It'll just say enter email, and you can do that there. Okay, Phoebe, I can see you were talking about, mentioned this placement is only for native speakers for the various countries mentioned. Any idea whether an Asian passport is accepted? So again, Phoebe, normally it's only from native speaking countries, but depending on how good your fluency level, there is room for 10% exception. So, depending if you studied all your life in a native speaking country and your fluency level is just a C2 level, basically. So it's kind of case by case individual, but if you want to put your name down on the list, I can give you a call and kind of go through the pre-screening. And I think I could probably let you know a little bit better once we go through that on the phone. So feel free to put in your email, and I will get on to you. Okay. Any other? I finished my undergrad this year. Does that give me enough time to apply? Good question, Matthew. I actually don't know. So could you let me know there when you'd officially be getting your certificate? Because you do need to get it legalized. So you'd need to have the hard copy and everything like that to go through the legalization process and things like that. So if you could let me know when you'd officially have the hard copy in your hand.
I would probably say no, Matthew, for this time around. Now, as we did say, we are recruiting at the moment for September, but there will be other dates and other positions come available. It's just because everything is so strict, and because there is such a lengthy process with getting the visa and everything like that, that if you physically don't have your bachelor's degree now, it would just stall and add on more time as well. So I would say for this round in September, no, but definitely for afterwards or anything like that. And if you do know when you actually will have the official hard copy, then we'd be able to have a better insight into when you could apply for it as well.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. Muriel, how do you get your certificate legalized? So if you're talking about your TEFL certificate or your bachelor's degree, I don't know, but we do have a fantastic blog on our website that kind of goes through the ins and outs of legalization and how to do it and things like that. We do offer a service for our TEFL certificates to get legalized, but again, you can access that blog, no problem, and we can send you all the information on the legalization of your cert as well. Is there any other one there that I missed? Okay, I think I've kind of gone through the ones there in the chat box.
I did see a question about driving positions from Brian. I'm not too sure, do you genuinely mean actually driving or driving a car? No, just TEFL teaching positions, sorry. Or maybe I'm actually picking that up wrong there now. So if it is a different question.
You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay. When I say driving, I mean, I have a driver's license. Just like, for example, when I was in Japan, some of the contracts required you to drive. So obviously having a driver's license was required. Not, can I be paid to be a driver?
Yeah, sorry. I was like, no, I think you've got the wrong webinar here. No, that wasn't made mandatory when we were speaking to our partners or anything like that, Brian. So like it actually does say a lot of the apartments that you will be situated in, they say you can walk or ride to school. So like, I know obviously with underground and everything like that, everything is a lot more accessible, but it never said anything about needing to actually have a driver's license or to drive to school or anything like that. I don't think I personally would be driving myself if I was living over in South Korea. I'd be enjoying all the different modes of transport and self and getting driven around the place. But no, that hasn't come up, so that shouldn't be mandatory anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Again, it's not an issue for me, but it's just something I'd ask, just because car rental can
it's a great
be a
one.
cost to bring into.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes with contracts as well, with getting your visas and stuff, having a full driver's license is a requirement sometimes, which is a bit strange if you're not actually needed to drive staff members or school or children in school and stuff. But no, thanks for bringing that to our attention as well.
Yeah, Fantastic. Okay, and if you want to put a few more questions in, please do. And I'm just going to touch a small bit on, I suppose, a bit of the coronavirus and things that are going on. I suppose it's in everyone's back of everyone's head. Should I apply? Should I go? Should I not? All this type of thing. So the good news is that the world is opening up again, and I think people are just deciding to kind of live with COVID and just take the necessary kind of precautions. We need to get the world moving and things like that anyway. So I do just want to kind of give you a small bit of information about South Korea and things like that. You know, South Korea actually handled the situation relatively well if you compare it to here in Ireland or the UK. It wasn't as bad at all as it was here. Schools remained open the whole time and things like that. But there are small things that we have to remember. We have to keep an open mind at all time, guys. We don't know if we're going to go into level 5 lockdown tomorrow. We don't know. It's just the way the world is going at the moment. The good news is that if you apply to the internship and you're going and you pay your tuition fees, you're never going to lose your money, in the sense of we'll just postpone your position until it's open for you to go. So don't worry. I firmly believe it's not going to happen, but just so in case that's in the back of your heads, you know, you'd never lose that kind of money. We just move you forward to the next open spot. Okay, I'm on until the next thing, but I really don't believe that's going to be like that. And just little things as well. Actually, a very interesting fact is, if you haven't had the vaccine here and you're in South Korea, actually foreign nationals are entitled to the COVID vaccine if they have not received it prior here. And things like, at the moment, you know, you must wear masks all the time, which is quite normal in Asian culture anyway. But just little things like that, just to bear in mind when you're applying for things like that. Are there any placement options still in South Korea that are less than 12 months? Not with us, unfortunately, Sarah. And to be honest, not in general. South Korea are a country that do like to have 12-month placements. And just with my own experience and working with different kind of partners in South Korea, it's always been like 12 months. As Katie said, it is kind of a Middle East, kind of Abu Dhabi, that kind of long-term serious contract.
I think as well, Kate, it's a lot to do with how much it goes into getting your visa and getting that set up for you. So I suppose once you have your visa, and I suppose if you're going through that 4-month process of constant communication, constantly trying to get you on board and everything like that, they want you to be committing to the 12 months. That's why they do have the completion bonus and everything at the end as a thank you for staying there. And they do invest in their staff. They invest in their schools by doing these CPD courses, continuous professional development courses, so that you are also growing as in your teacher career as well. And it's something that you can take from that and have with you forever. But I suppose it's something that they do to help their teachers, and to like in return expect their teachers to stay, and that they're not abandoning a classroom full of kids. I suppose from my own teaching experience, there's nothing worse. I used to teach kindergarten, and there's nothing worse when a teacher may have to leave. I know Jeannie Mac, if it's due to unforeseen circumstances and they have to get out of the country and they have to go home, or a family member is ill or anything like that, that's totally understandable. But on 1 or 2 occasions in different places that I've worked before, a teacher has just decided to just kind of get up and leave and to move to a different place. And I've been there as a sub teacher and studying, and you know, saw how distraught some of the kids would be, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, like not understanding, where's my teacher, where's Miss Katie, like what is she coming back, things like that. So I suppose it's a small request to ask for 12 months. I suppose if you think of the last 12 months, and we're still sitting in our houses between our 4 walls and things like that, I much would have rather have been in a different country, experiencing a new culture and totally immersing myself in that.
Absolutely, completely agree. There's a question there, Shannon. If you're married, would you be living together in a studio, or would it be more of a 1-bedroom? If you're married, there's different. I think it's okay if you're officially married, but if you're a couple going together, all they do is they actually provide you just 1 studio apartment each. And I mean, as Katie said, lads, all you have to do is kind of visit each other. Do you know what I mean? But everyone who applies is provided a studio apartment, and that's it really. Do you need to already have completed your Tefl course before applying? No, Sarah, you need it done before you go, but not before applying. For example, you don't need it done before next Tuesday. So no. Would there be options given for a specific age group or teach, or is it out of our hands? So Niamh, actually, what I love about this program and what I love about our partners is when they have their kind of interview and sit down with you, they get to know you and see what suits you best, and they kind of go through your personality and, you know, what would suit you more and where you would fit in nicely. So that's how you can kind of state your preference during the application process, and you can state it there. So it's not totally out of your hands. It's kind of it works in a two-way kind of thing, you know. What is the cost of the internship if you've already done some Tefl courses? So normally, Aoife, what happens, it's different depending on what courses you do and things like that, depending on what one you've signed up to. So if you want to get in touch with us and we can kind of, I wouldn't know that, I'd have to ask the finance, but I will find that out for you, depending on what courses you did and things like that, and we can get the proper reduction done for you. That's great, guys. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to put up here now my personal email, okay? If you want to apply, I'm off next. I'm very happy that I have a couple of days off now, so I won't be back in the office until Tuesday. But if you want to apply, please email me. And if you're serious about applying, just send me like a one-liner, just leave your number. So we can get you ready for Wednesday if you want to. And other than that, I mean, feel free to look through. We have all the information is on the website, and all the information. We have a South Korea guide as well. That has a brochure that has a little bit more information. And again, if there's any questions at all, feel free to ring us in, leave a message, all those type of things. And we will be sure to get back to you. But yeah, I think, unless Katie, you have anything else, or anybody else has anything?
No, I don't think so. I guess, like, I just think everyone deserves to really treat themselves this Easter weekend and start thinking about the possibilities of teaching in South Korea. I personally myself, I was even speaking to one of our colleagues, Becky, about it earlier, and we were both saying we'd only love to get on the next plane. I've traveled to Singapore before, and I just felt like it's just so quirky over in Singapore, and just nearly like a completely new life, different experience, like that they're just so ahead of us here in Ireland. And I just feel like everything about South Korea seems that same vibe. If you're into karaoke, I suppose K-pop, things like that. They have a lot of like cafes, like animal cafes, where you can bring your dogs, your cats. I suppose even if you can't have one over there, it'd be nice to visit them if you do miss your dog at home. Loads of themed kind of cafes, escape rooms, fun. It just sounds so fun over there, to be honest. And yeah, and just like, I think something that we all could do with a bit of fun. Especially after the year that everyone has put down. So I guess that's all from me on this. And as Kate said, we are going to be I'll be online tomorrow, but I suppose really by the time it's opening up, it will be around next Wednesday, after we've eaten all the chocolate over the weekend and things like that, and had a bit of a break. So do have a think about it. Pre-register if you have any interest at all. I don't know, did Kate say that earlier, that we only have 10 spaces available? So I suppose it is limited in that sense. So if you are interested in it at all, before committing to any payment or anything like that, I definitely would pre-register straight after this, so that we can get you on the list, and that Kate can get calling you then next week when we do have things up and running.
Yeah, I think that's it for me as well. And guys, thank you so much for listening, as always, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk to you all very soon. Hopefully a couple of you will be jetting off to South Korea in the not so distant future. All right.
Fabulous. Take care, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Happy Easter.
Thanks a million.
Bye.